asked me to speak about some time in my life where there was some generosity that was maybe overwhelming or surprising or whatever. And right away, I thought about when Robert was diagnosed with glioblastoma, multiform brain cancer, in December of 2013. When that happened, there was just countless actions of generosity, cards, calls, visits. Friends would take him to Beaumont, Royal Oak for treatments. His band would bring breakfast once a week, and we would just eat breakfast together. People at church here would aid him when they could see he was struggling, and they would just say, "Get up," and they would help him in any way they could. The support and caring from everywhere was just tremendous. Robert's last 4 days here on earth, he was in hospice care. We had a revolving door at the condo. So many visitors came just to show him love. Robert passed on Memorial Day 2015, surrounded by love. I wasn't going to have a visitation. I kind of thought it would be overwhelming. But John from the Marysville Funeral Home said we really needed to have one. He said people wanted to come and show their respect. He was right. We had that visitation on Friday, May 29th. I stood for 7 hours receiving people. People just stood in line all that time to show their respect, to show us love. It was amazing. Robert's memorial service was June 13th. We had decided on that date because that was his birthday. He was going to be 64. So instead of celebrating his 64th birthday, we celebrated his heavenly birthday. People came for distances, even out of state. The church was full, the sanctuary was full, all the way back to the kitchen. The balcony was full. It was something to see, actually. The service was beautiful. People gave of themselves in that service. There were so many cards, so many letters. People would write to me, tell me the things that Robert had done for them in their lives and what they felt about him. The abundance of generosity after Robert's passing, from time, flowers, food, gift donations, actions of love filled my heart then and continue to fill me. It took me a full year to get all the thank you notes written. It's been 10 years since Robert passed. At times, someone will mention Robert's name and how or why they were thinking of him. Such kindness, keeping his memory alive. The abundance of generosity. Love is in my heart forever.
I'm a firm believer that there are definitely angels among us. And a little over 3 years ago, Linda and I were leaving out on our honeymoon. It was our first foray out with our big diesel pickup truck and our 38-foot travel trailer. So it was an experience. On our third day out, we were in southeastern Colorado. And we had been hunting for hours for a place to eat and went miles and miles and miles with no McDonald's, no Burger Kings. We finally came into a little town of Blanca, Colorado, which we later learned had a population of 323 people. We saw a restaurant on our left that had a large gravel parking lot, so we decided to pull in there and have our lunch. As I crossed the road to enter the parking lot, the trailer brakes locked up and left us blocking 2 oncoming lanes of traffic. So in a panic, I jumped out of the truck, crawled underneath the trailer to discover that the breakaway cable had pulled, and discovered that part of our very expensive and very complicated weight distributing hitch had broken and pulled the breakaway cable. So I plugged the breakaway cable back in, which released the brakes. We pulled up into the parking lot and sat there wondering, now what do we do? We were at a total loss. I called the hitch company and they told me that if I were able to pull the piece up that had dropped and ratchet strap it up to keep it from falling away, that I could get to my destination, which was 3.5 hours away, and they would overnight me the parts to make the repair. So I went through all of my belongings in the truck and the trailer and discovered that I had forgotten to pack my bag of ratchet straps. So we went in the restaurant, ordered our lunch, and sat there just trying to figure out what to do. Well, there was a gentleman sitting at the bar nursing a beer, and he looked to me like he was a local. And I said to Linda, I think that guy's a local. I'm going to go ask him if there's a hardware store. So I approached him and said, excuse me, sir, but are you a local? And he said, well, I am. And I said, is there a hardware store in Blanca? He laughed. And he said, in Blanca, a hardware store? No, he said, you've got to go probably 28 miles back the way you came, or 23 miles forward the way you're headed to find a hardware store. And I said, well, we're in a dilemma, because I said, we are dead in the water where we're at. We're on our way to Durango, and I can't move. Part of my hitch is broken, and I need a ratchet strap. He said, come out to my car. So I followed him out to his car. And to this day, we don't know why, but he had a 5-gallon bucket in the back seat of his car that was filled with ratchet straps. And he offered me 2. He said, take 2 just to make sure you've got things covered. And I, of course, offered to pay him. And also, of course, he wouldn't take any money. So he was definitely our angel. We were able to put those ratchet straps on the hitch, draw things up, that then got us the 3.5 hours into Durango, and pretty much saved our honeymoon. So I'm always reminded of the 90s era Alabama song, Angels Among Us, because they truly are.
How do I feel love from Pilgrim Lutheran Church in this community? Well, a good example was when I had my shoulder surgery, and friends reached out and they brought meals to help the family out, and it was a great help. It was also a great showing of how God works through people. I am so happy for all of the get well wishes and cards that I received from all the people here too. I'm also glad that there are so many opportunities at this church and through the church to participate in celebrating the Word and in serving and helping the community. I have formed some great friendships here, and I feel that our church is more like a family, the kind that really love each other. This church is so generous, and I'm so glad to be a member of this church.